This is Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching the Mr. Media interview with actor Niall Matter, one of the stars of the Syfy original series Eureka, which airs every Monday night this summer at 8 p.m. I couldn't help but notice over your shoulder, and I think you're in your apartment in Vancouver, a drum kit. Can you?
Yeah,
Yours, I assume. You play?
yeah, yeah. That's mine. Yeah, I've been playing since I was 13, which
Uh,
is a long time if anyone knows my age.
17 years.
That would be correct.
I know way too much about Eureka-related stuff. This is not
Yeah,
healthy.
that's pretty good.
Maybe if it was Erica Sarah, it would be more understandable. But I don't know, for some reason I know this today. Do you play in a band? Do you just like to play at this point, or?
Not anymore because I left the whole band thing when I was 17, and then actually 18, and then I moved out to Vancouver, and then I worked the oil rigs for so long, and I was traveling back and forth. I didn't have any time to get into a band, and then my acting career took off right after my oil rigging career, and I haven't had any time to get back into a band. It's something I will definitely pursue in the future, that's for sure.
How long did you work on oil rigs?
I did that for 8 years. I did that from age 17 until 25. And the oil rigs, like it's seasonal, so you go out in the wintertime up north, northern Alberta actually. You have to wait for the ground to freeze over so you can move in the heavy equipment. And I did that all the way until 2 weeks before my 26th birthday, actually.
Wow, probably paid well, but man, hard work, I think.
Oh yeah, the pay was amazing, and that's why I stuck it out so long. I'm a third generation oil rigger, so.
Wow. Did they think any less of you that you're acting now instead of working the oil rigs, or do you get credit for time put in?
No, I got credit. I mean, I became a boss out there quite young in the oil patch. I think I started drilling at around 21 and became a relief tool push at about 22, 23. Kept on drilling and then just became a tool push at like 24. Tool push runs the rig.
Oh.
He's in charge of all three crews and everything. So I worked a lot with my oldest brother, Trevor.
As you're describing that, I'm thinking about Deadliest Catch, and I'm imagining there's probably similar types of opportunity for storytelling out on oil rigs.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a really bad accident that got me out of the oil field. Actually, I saw a lot of things I wish I didn't see out there. That's for sure, and I had to deal with a lot of things that I wish I didn't have to. But now that I have, it's made me who I am, and I think that that's where the work ethic came from. Because now when I'm on set, I find actors complaining about the most mundane and ridiculous things, and I mean, hours don't get to me. Nothing really gets to me when I'm on set because I've been conditioned for it.
It's interesting coming from something else. A lot of people who've grown up as actors, they're very insulated, and their expectations are different. You're probably a joy for the producers to have around because you're not complaining about stupid stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't complain. I mean, I can fall through a set, which I have before, and almost took a fall of about 15 feet. It was actually on Eureka, and I just hopped back up and I was ready for another take. I mean, that type of stuff doesn't get to me because I'm used to those types of things going wrong. So I don't. Yeah, I don't have a hard time on set. I love the hours. I just love the crew because actually the crew dynamic reminds me a lot of the oil field.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way? That's
Well,
interesting.
because the crew on a film set becomes really close, and they have their inside jokes, their inside pranks they're playing each other, and each department has their own, specific function, and that is very much the way it is on an oil rig. Each piece of equipment has its own specific function, and there's one person designated for each piece of that equipment. So you'll have, I mean, lease hands they're the bottom of the food chain in the oil field, and they basically take care of all the machinery out there and clean everything. And then you have your roughneck who stands on the drilling floor, and then you have your motor hand who takes care of all the motors, right? Basically motor hand. And then you have your derrick hand who will take care of the pump house and the mud tanks. Like he'll mix up whatever drilling fluid you're using to pump with. And then you also have another derrick hand up the stick. And then you have a driller who's on the floor or in the doghouse all the time. Then you have a tool push. So each person they kind of have their own thing going on. And then you have three different crews. And each crew has its own personality.
Oh.
My crew, it's actually funny enough, that's actually really funny. My crew was called the Nerd Crew, and then we were called. It's funny.
Wow.
We were called the Nerd Crew because of how healthy all of us were. Every single person that worked on my crew, they all worried about what they were eating, if they were healthy. So we would show up to the rig with like oatmeal, egg whites, spinach, and stuff for breakfast, and we would pack really healthy lunches, a lot of vegetables, fruit, and every other crew was drinking like 2-liter bottles of soda, chocolate bars. My crew wasn't like that. No one on my crew ate that way, and we were all consequently in really good shape, and we liked to work really hard. So the rest of the crews called us the Nerd Crew because we actually really liked to excel at what we were doing.
Were these deep sea rigs, or were they?
Nope, these were onshore. These were on land,
Oh, okay.
up north in northern Alberta, and then sometimes I was stationed in Saskatchewan, like southern Saskatchewan, Leader, Saskatchewan, stuff like that. And then southern Alberta, we were doing shallow gas down there. I've done pretty much everything on the oil rigs. I did a lot of coring. Coring is where you actually extract earth from the ground, and you actually pull it up, and a geologist is able to look at it and study it.
I got to say, anyone who tuned in and heard you say that you worked on oil rigs for several years and was doubting it now there's no doubt in their mind after hearing you describe all that. I'm sure anybody's going, "Wow, this guy really did that stuff."
Yeah, I really did. I
Very
did it.
cool.
Yeah, I did it for 8 years until I had a really bad accident. I actually I rolled a drilling rig during a midnight move. We were moving the rig at 4 a.m. and I was driving a tandem crane carrier with the derrick mounted on top of it, and the highway broke out from underneath my back bogies, and it caused me to roll the rig in the opposite ditch. And it's a good thing I did because on my passenger side it was a straight cliff down. So if I would have taken that route, I wouldn't be on Eureka, I'll tell you that much. So I took the other ditch, and I was crushed in the cab, and it took them quite a while to cut me out of there. But eventually I got out, and then I was sent to the hospital, and it was a pretty horrific experience. They wanted to take my leg, and
Wow.
it took a while for me to learn how to walk again. 6 months in rehab, and yeah, it was pretty nasty.
So yeah, I could see. So how did you wind up acting from that? Was that just?
Well, after that happened, I went back to the rig, and I had about a week and a half out there, and then I saw another really bad accident happen, and that was it for me. I closed up shop. I came back to my place in Vancouver, and because I get bored really easily, I lied my way into a bartending job so I had something to do. And about a month into bartending, I ended up booking my very first lead role in a sci-fi movie, actually, called Beyond Loch Ness, and I was opposite Brian Krause in that. And it seemed to just kind of snowball after that. As soon as I had that one lead role, I ended up booking a series lead on a show called The Best Years halfway through filming Beyond Loch Ness, and before I knew it, we were wrapping Beyond Loch Ness at 10 p.m. the night of the 31st of October in 2006, and then November 1st, I was flown out to Toronto to start the series the very next day.
Wow, that was a Canadian television show.
Yeah, it was a co-pro. It was Canadian-U.S. It was the N Network in the States, which I'm not sure if that's even around anymore. The N Network and then Global Canada.
Wow. And
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to ask you. It seems like the people who cast shows for sci-fi definitely like you, and actually they seem to. I was thinking about this some more. People who've been on sci-fi shows over the years, like the Stargate folks, get a lot of work on other sci-fi stuff. They seem to have some loyalty to the actors and actresses.
Which is nice. I mean, it's always nice to find a house that likes to use the same people and take care of those that they've already hired before. I mean, you establish a working rapport, right? It's like any other industry, I guess, but it's definitely nice to find a home. That's for sure.
Uh, does any of that reflect that you have a particular interest in science fiction and fantasy, or is it just where you found a home?
You know what? That's just where I found a home. I did not think in a million years that I would be playing one of the smartest minds in the United States. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I grew up playing hockey and football. I don't even own a gaming console I never have owned a gaming console. I'm not a gamer. I'm definitely I'm definitely not well versed in a computer. I don't even type home row. I'm this guy. I kind of
That's the
like
way I type.
everything. That's
Sorry.
how I roll too. So yeah, playing a genius computer hacker is definitely far from the realm of my possibility, but in the world of TV, it's not.
Mm. Well, speaking of nerds, I have to ask because I think you may have mentioned this on your Twitter feed. Going to Comic-Con in the next week or two, as I understand.
Yeah.
Have you been before?
Oh, I'm not going to Comic Con.
Oh, you're not. I thought you. Well, I thought the cast was going.
No, I'm not. If they're going, I mean I wasn't invited, so
Oh, shh. I'm sorry. I said anything.
yeah.
Shh. You didn't know. Don't. Shh.
I didn't know.
Sorry.
Didn't even know. But I am going to Australia.
Oh, okay. What's in Australia?
I'm going to Australia. There's a convention in Australia that Colin, myself, and Neil are going to go do, and that's at the end of October.
Oh, that'll be very cool.
Yeah.
Do, do, do you get recognized enough to be made uncomfortable by the comics fans, the sci-fi geeks and nerds and what have you?
Up in Canada, I never get recognized except for from that show I did, The Best Years, which was 4 years ago now. And all those teenage girls have grown up, and I don't think they remember who I am anymore. But
I would have some doubts about that.
down in the States, yeah, every now and then I get approached, and it's nice. It's nice to know that there's fans out there and fans that appreciate the work that we're doing.
I know my daughter was traveling through the airport in Dallas over Christmas holidays, and she called us all excited a few minutes later. And I apologize because I cannot remember the young lady's name. She plays Sheriff Carter's daughter on Eureka.
Jordan
Yeah, Jordan Henson?
Henson.
Henson. And my daughter, who is just about 15, saw her, and they were going in opposite directions on the moving sidewalks, I think. And
Yeah.
so my daughter was so excited she called, and we said, "Well, why didn't you go and say something?" "Oh, I'm too shy. I'm too shy." And it was like, trying to figure out what was it really her. Well, my daughter went and checked her Twitter feed, and she wrote that day about having an awful day at the airport in Dallas.
In Dallas, it was her. It was her.
And yeah, so we were excited. So my daughter sent her a note on Twitter, and she wrote back. She said, "Oh, you should have said something. It would have improved my day." So,
Yeah, Jordan's great.
it was
She's a
sweet.
sweetheart. Definitely miss her presence around set. That's for sure.
She not doing season 5?
Well, she did a little season 5 so far. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say anything, so I can't go there. But in season 4, she was back a little bit. So
Well, I remember
yeah,
she was taken off to college at the end of season 4. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all right. I have to ask you. We'll wrap up in just a minute, but I have to ask you about your role in Watchmen. It was obviously one of the most talked about and wildly anticipated comics and graphic novel type movie. How did you feel to play a part in that?
I was actually really excited to play a part in that. Just the cast alone, I was looking forward to being on set with them. My role was so minor, but I still think it's probably the most epic opening sequence of any film I've ever seen. So I am very happy to be a part of that sequence, that's for sure. But
It was
it was cool. It was, what's that?
no, I was going to say the same thing. It was very cool.
Yeah, it really was. And it was a very surreal experience to be on set in the Mothman costume throwing a football with Zack Snyder.
That would be kind of neat. That was
Yeah.
amazing. Dave Gibbons, one of the co-creators of the show, has been on here twice, and he's a good guy. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, is there a is there a particular character that you find that you are most recognized for when you are recognized for things, or is it
Well, now
Zane?
now it's Zane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Zane now. That's for sure. Yeah, it's definitely Zane, and a few people that know me as Zane always throw in and you were Mothman too. So that always comes up.
There is that. So just before we end, you're shooting season 5 of Eureka. Is there a commitment beyond 5? I actually do not know that.
You know what? We don't know either. We don't know until August 15th. That's the day when all of the actors find out if there is another season. So then there should be some more news coming out around that time, I would imagine.
Would you like to go for another round?
Do we freeze up here?
It's bouncing a little bit, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
Would you like to go for another round, another season?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone would like to go for another season. Absolutely.
Good. That's what we want to hear in our house.
It's the show that can keep on going.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, folks, you can watch the season 4.5 premiere of Eureka on Syfy. It's Monday, July 11th at 8 p.m., and then continuing Mondays through the rest of the summer. And you can also buy the just released DVD of the first half of season 4. It's at a great price at MrMedia.com. Niall, we mentioned that you were on Twitter. Do you want to give out your Twitter address? Do you want to tell people how they can follow you?
Oh, it's very tricky. It's at Niall Matter.
So if you can spell it, you can find him. And are you Facebook or website, any of that other stuff, or just Twitter?
Facebook, I keep that really private, just for people that I've actually met in person, and that's how I roll with that one.
In the social media age, you only want to communicate with people you know? Where does that come from?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that comes from being a small town farm boy. That's where that comes from.
I definitely get that. I understand. Well, Niall Matter, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun to talk to you. You're very gracious with your time, and thanks for joining us, Mr. Media, today.
It was a pleasure. You take care.
Thank you. And folks, for more original interviews with America's top actors and actresses, you can surf over to our main website, MrMedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. You can also download our new free Mr. Media mobile app for the Android. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many parts of Eureka when they're not being evacuated. Show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. If you've got an idea for a guest, to comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. You can also call our 24-hour listener line, 1-727-498-4711. And you can follow Mr. Media on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Excuse me. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you soon. Bye, everybody.